In the winter of 2023, the Polish TV channel Canal Plus broadcast a 5-part series entitled Ostatni Gladiator, which followed the life of 3 times world Speedway champion Nicki Pedersen from the time of one of his most serious crashes of his career in the summer of 2022 until his return to the track in the spring of 2023. The series was widely acclaimed in Poland and beyond, but as it was broadcast mostly in Polish, it wasn't fully accessible to English speakers. Today, I'm delighted to join Nicki at his lovely house in Denmark, and I plan to ask him how he's been doing since his successful return to the track, how his body has recovered since that huge accident, and what the future holds for the rider who's already done it all in the sport. So Nicki, first of all, thank you very much for joining us today and for speaking with me and for welcoming me to your home here. For those who maybe didn't see the Ostatni Gladiator series, can you remind us of what happened in the summer of 2022, the crash at Grudziądz and the injuries you sustained then, and how much of a struggle you went through to actually get back to fitness and back on track?
Yeah, it's first of all a long story, we have to cut down because we can be talking out for days. Yeah, I had the big crash in Grudziądz in mid-June in 2022. It's racing. This is the downside with Speedway. Sometimes if there is crashes, usually we just knocks off the bikes and we get back up again and we take the dust off the Kevlar and then we get back on again. But unfortunately sometimes there is big injuries, and that one was one of the big ones. I got crashed by Piotr Pawlicki on third lap into first corner. We went straight to the fence. He come underneath at me, and when you go directly straight to the fence like that, you actually accelerate a little bit faster because then you stop spinning to around the corners and speed comes up, and I hit the air fence quite big, and actually the bike came first and lifting up the air fence, and then you hit the background towards the fence, and the left leg got stuck into the fence, and it pushed it right up through my pelvis. So that means I knocked a big hole in the pelvis. Yeah. And I knew straight away when you lay on the track, I had a few crashes over the last 25 years, so I know my body very well, if it's painful or extremely painful. And that one was bad one. And I wanted to, I was kind of laying on the stomach thing, and I wanted to get back to my back, but I couldn't I felt there was something wrong in the pelvis and the leg. So we got the spine board from the ambulance, and I got crawling a little bit up, and they tried to lift me a little bit, and we could get to the hospital. They wanted to give me some injections already on the track, but I didn't want to take any, even though it was so painful. And this was repeated from one of my friends, which was mechanic for me before. He was with one of the juniors, Fredrik Jakobsen. So we had a bit of a chat 3 months later, so he told what he saw, and then he said, "You are a crazy maniac," because I was so much in pain, and I told him, but they wanted to give me this big injection. I said, "No, I'm not going to take any painkillers," because I wanted to be fully fresh in my head best possible. Yeah. We got to the hospital, and they x-rayed me, and they said, yeah, there is a crack and a big hole actually in the pelvis, but it's sitting all right. And I said to my mechanic, please go around to the monitors, take all the pictures as you can, send it to me, and I'm gonna send it off to my doctors and my physio in Denmark. And they said straight away in Denmark that the left leg is sitting inside in the pelvis. It needs to be pulled back out and be stabilized by some weights. Okay. Because you can trap the nerves and the blood circulation, and if that's got trapped, that means you need to amputate the leg straight away, and that can happen after 4 hours or 48 hours. Okay. You don't know, and after that's trapped, then there's nothing you can do. So I had a bit of a fight or argument with the doctor. Said, no, it's sitting correctly, but I said it ain't, because my doctors back home, they said you have to do that, and they said, all right, we're going to give you some injections and then we're going to stretch it out. I said, no, just put me on to sleep, put it out correctly, and then, and they did that. And I waked up again, and this was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The crash happened. They pulled the leg out, and I got back to the room where the weight, 15 kilos, was sitting towards the end of my bed, hooked up to my leg. And already there, I never will forget that. 11 o'clock in the evening, I got a little bit hungry.
Okay.
And I already felt, what is the date now? When can I be back on the bed? You know. And I thought, well, the season is finished now, but if I could get ready 15th of March again, then it's a good fight, you know, to be back. And that was my target already there.
And were there any points in the months of rehabilitation that you actually thought maybe you wouldn't be able to get back on the bike?
No, I never had those doubts. You know, I had good people surrounding me, especially Natasha. I laid in the bed for the first month or so. I couldn't get out of the bed hardly. Mm-hmm. So you were peeing and things like that in the bed. You know, she was helping me very well. You know, which is how it is. That's why you actually realize people, you know, they're there for real or not.
Absolutely.
I never doubted that, but it's nice to know when things is there. Another thing, we got all the plates and everything. Well, again, I can say after 5 days, I lost 1.5 liters in the night. So we had to get that filled up again a couple of days later by a machine, and before I could actually get on the plane and get operation back in Denmark. But I refused to get operated in Poland. They might be good enough, that's not what I'm saying, but I knew I had good doctors in Denmark that could look after me. So they're very nice. The hospital in Grudget arranged a helicopter actually to Bydgoszcz airport.
Okay.
And in the airport there I sorted out a flight that could take me straight to Odense in Denmark. And I landed on the Friday, and Saturday morning they operated me. So already there afterwards I was for a week again in the hospital, and it produced very well, and it went good, and I was on a lot of drugs, so the pain went there. And then I decided, it was in June, started coming up to July, and we have an apartment in Spain, and we instead of just sitting here, you know, Natasha was going there anyway with Leva and my kids. So I decided that I'm gonna fly. But physio, doctor said it was okay, but physio was a little bit not too sure because the screws can pop out this and that. But I was convinced that that's gonna be alright. And if it weren't, then I had to fly back again, you know. Because I didn't want to sit here 4 weeks, you know, just on my own. I wanted to try to get a normal life best possible. So Natasha went to the local shop, because you can get a roller chair in wheelchair in the hospital, but they're a little bit more heavier than the flexible. So we went to the local store, you know, and she bought one, and that was easier to fold together and fold out again. And
to help you get around.
Yeah, exactly. So I got around, and I had crutches also, you know. So I was there for 2-3 weeks, and I was in some uncomfortable nerves pain down there. So I just jumped on the flight, you know. I flew back again, got a check, you know, and everything is alright, and I flew back again. So I think sometime in your mind, you know, if you're a positive thinker, then you can solve most of your things in your life, where other people, I didn't say I refused the doctors and stuff, but you sometimes need to feel as well your feelings, and then do what you think is best for yourself.
And as you say, you probably know your body better than anybody else after many crashes over the years. So it took a period of basically 9 months almost to get back to full fitness.
And that's why you actually realize. So I wouldn't force anybody to have big injuries, you know. But I think that's why you actually learn yourself and your friends and family best way to know, because you realize how good your life actually is when you're fit.
Absolutely.
And I, again, as I said, I don't want anybody to get injured, but it's nice sometimes that it hurts, and when it not hurts or hurts a little bit less, then you're a little bit more happy in your body, and you start smiling, you know. Even if you are complaining and blaming about things, you think, you know, can you remember for 3 months ago, you know, you couldn't hardly get out of the bed? Okay, I stopped complaining, you know, get on with the day, you know. Sun is out, so I'm smiling.
And then if we go forward, like from the kind of months of rehabilitation, finally you got back on track. I remember watching you in an open meeting in Bydgoszcz, where I think you scored very highly, which was basically your first time back on the track. And then a couple of weeks after that, on the 8th of April 2023, I actually travelled with a number of people from the Continental Facebook group to Grujohns, and we were there when you made your return to the track at Grujohns.
Yeah.
And I mean, in many ways it was like a fairy tale return, because it was a match against Czestochowa. Grujohns were behind most of the way through the meeting, but you completed an unbelievable 18-point maximum that day, coming from the back to beat Leon Madsen in the final heat to get a draw for Grujohns that day. And obviously, I mean, I imagine you felt elated at that point. You'd made the best possible return, but how did the body actually feel at that point?
It was a total relief, you know. It's and it's when you just said that with the maximum and come back in a return like that. That's typical Nicki Pedersen. It's and which has been good with the clubs and sponsors and things like that over the years. If I said I'll be back, you know, in 1 month's time or in 3 months' time, they never doubted, because I never failed. I had good doctors and physios around me, and you know, we never tried to force it quicker than what the body could. I think I was more. It was harder in my mind, in my brain, than it was actually physically on the body. The brain was more nervous than actually the body was. The body was knackered because I was fit, but I was not fully fit for that racing. But you know, again, you can do it if you have to do it,
of
you
course.
know. And it took me 2-3 days afterwards, because the first meeting there was so intense and it was so important, you know. Come back and show the people, you know, that I'm back. I can still do it, and to do the maximum, and I have the record now that I'm the oldest one in Extra League to make the maximum.
Absolutely.
It's probably going to take some years before anyone is going to make that, you know. You have to at least be 45 years old or 46, whatever it was at that time. So it. Body is, I mean, even though I came 6 months later to the doctor in Denmark who operated me, and he said, how is it going? I said, I asked him at that time, do you think I can come back on the bike again? He said, yeah, there's no doubt about that. If you want to come back, you know, we put you back together, then it's up to yourself how much pain you're going to. You will be in pain, but it's about how much you can cope with the pain.
Learning to live with it.
And as I said, I came back 6 months later, and he said, how is it going with the racing? I said, it's going good, and I've actually also had a few crashes, and they hold up pretty well. And he was like, so I am at that testing already, he said.
And then additionally in 2023 you also moved into management, becoming Danish national coach, and your squad performed really admirably, finishing in third place, only 4 points behind the winners Poland in the Speedway World Cup in July 2023. And I look back at that, and I've read in many places that one of the overriding feelings of the squad at the end of last year was the fact that you breathed new life and enthusiasm into the Danish team and the riders. Was it easy for you to create that good atmosphere amongst your squad?
I took on the job because I wanted to make a change for Denmark. My heart is definitely for Denmark. I mean, I've been riding for Denmark for so many years, and I put so much into the sport. And I'm kind of getting there. I'm kind of, you know, towards end of my career, and I don't want to see just Denmark slipping away just like that. So that was it was another target for me actually, to try to take that management, because it might have been a good rider, but to be coaching is a different thing. But I knew I would have the respect from the rider, or I hoped, but I kind of knew, but you need to feel it before you actually know it 100%. Because the boys, they still know I can beat them here and there from the gates, you know, and they kind of like that, because I'm not riding with them anymore in the SEC meetings or qualification rounds or Grand Prix, you know. So we're not enemies anymore, you know.
Of course.
We can have nice good fights on in the lakes, you know, but it's not championships. So they say anything to me, the issues they have, you know, and I love that. I mean, anything they can call with, they've split up with their girlfriend, or the mom and dad and the sponsors, and you know, they make the girl pregnant. And I never use my team manager, you know, for things like that, you know. But it makes me happy, you know, because they wouldn't call me if they didn't think I have an idea, you know. We could throw the ball up and grab it together. I can tell them what I have done, you know, but I'd rather more throw the ball up and say, I did like this, then you should maybe try to do like that.
And of course, that's it. I mean, being a manager, it's not just, you know, sending them out on the track and saying,
just
you know, score 3 points or whatever. You're basically almost being a mother to them in some ways.
Yeah, in a coaching things, role thing, and I kind of like that, because I always said if you haven't been through things like that, you can't teach or coach anybody.
Okay.
You have to go. You cannot read to that kind of role. And I knew that I had many things to learn, which I wanted to. But there's a lot of paperwork. But the thing is to be in the field, to help them or take the phone calls and they asking about this and that. It's a pleasure, I really feel a pleasure. And still when I'm active rider, I had Andreas Lüeger the other day, and Jesper Knudsen for 2 weeks ago, driving in the same car or flying together. There are a lot of conversations we're having on board when we're traveling, which I kind of like, and I can feel they like as well, because they say, "Oh, thank you very much." They don't have to thank me, but
Of course.
it's nice that they know that I'm honest and I can help them. So.
And then in the winter of 2023, you saw big changes with your clubs. You moved to Grindsted here in Denmark, and in Poland you changed your club and moved to Rzeszów, where you returned after an absence of 12 years. How do you feel that you've mentioned the body has held up well and you've had some crashes? And actually you mentioned when we came in that you had a crash at Bydgoszcz at the weekend. How do you feel the body is now?
Well, the body is kind of okay. I mean, I'm never going to get 100% again, but I can do the exercise which I have to as a speedway rider. I don't have problems on the track, when I'm riding. Some people like extremely grippy tracks and some people like the slick tracks. But nowadays, 80% of the tracks, is decent, really good tracks. And when the tracks are decent good, then I'm compatible with any others. So I also look at myself and see when just 10, 15 years ago, or even 20, I could see why people retired when they were 30 or 35, because at that time it was different way the engine was, different silence and stuff like that, and the grip on the tracks and the rocks was a lot heavier. So when the tracks is more looked after nowadays and more compatible and a more slicker surface, then you can also push it a little bit the age you are in. So it's not only because that me and Hancock is probably the ones that actually pushed it a lot in the Grand Prix series, but it's also because the speedway sport and the tracks is getting better and better. So yeah, I mean, body is doing well. 47 years old. I still have the energy in my head. The body sometimes can feel, you wake up in the morning and you feel the pain here and there. But I turn it around and think, okay, I might be lucky that I'm still in pain, because when I'm still in pain, that means I'm still alive.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess mentioning the body beginning to get a wee bit older, looking to the future, I suppose the big question is in 2025, will we see Nicki Pedersen on track again, do you think? Or do you feel the time is kind of coming close to maybe concentrating more on the management side of things, or maybe the development side of the sport?
I definitely want. I mean, this year again was I wouldn't say it's a testing year, but I think it's a bonus every year. I can continue as soon as somebody call me up. I'm there to do my job as best as possible. And people have to realize we get paid per points. So if I have a bad day or anybody have a bad day, they're not happy too, because they doesn't get paid then. So it's not like we don't do it on purpose. Fans sometimes can get disappointed, but don't get me wrong, we get disappointed too, because we don't get paid, and the mechanics and bikes and everything still has to get paid per day. So again, I think I ended in top 8 in 8 or top 10 in my league in Poland, and I'm in top 5 or something in the Danish league. So I really enjoy it, and 2 leagues has been fine for me. I mean, England keep calling me up and Sweden keep calling me, but I try to stay for the Polish and Danish league. And then doing my manager roles. I don't want to take too much on board, I want to, it's not about money, it's never been about money, it's my business and it pay my wages, but I also, when I do something, I want to do it the best as possible.
Of course.
So I would definitely love to ride again in 25, that's for sure.
Okay.
I need to have clubs calling me up before I made a 1-year deal with Grindsted, and the same I did with Rzeszów. I made an option for 2 years in Rzeszów, but I already know actually tomorrow we're going to talk again, because it's about average and under 24 rules and stuff like that. They need to work out before they can finish off if we can stay or not stay. But I'm sure, I'm a 10-point rider, you know, and if somebody needs that, I'm sure somebody's going to call
You're
me.
there, yeah. So taking that last question a little further, over the years you've obviously had many fantastic sponsors that have helped you through your career, but more recently you've had Paul Christensen from 3P Logistics supporting you quite intensively. And from my perspective, talking to other riders this season, Paul does have a big enthusiasm for the sport. Do you think in the future, is there any possibility of you two guys maybe cooking up something together to try to take Danish Speedway forward in some way?
The good thing with Paul, first of all, we're from '77. We same age, which is quite nice. That means we're thinking the same, you know, with many things. And I respect him very well as a businessman, you know. And I say sometimes sport and business, you know, is compatible, and it's similar.
Yeah.
You gotta be hungry to be an extremely good businessman, and you gotta be smart and be thinking fast.
Yeah.
If not, then somebody else, you know, they're grabbing the business you wanted to take before them. So I always respected Pau with the way he worked. Pau is a tough cookie as well. And I like that because business is tough.
Absolutely.
You know, you gotta be hungry. You gotta be up there. You gotta have a target and aims. If you don't have any aims, you're never gonna hit the bullseye. You know.
Of course.
It's well, me and Pau worked before as a sponsorship, and we never fall out with each other. You know, we did a couple of years in the Grand Prix together as a sponsorships. He had customers coming out as well.
Okay.
We split up, and then all of a sudden I came in again as a national coach. You know, and I had a coffee with him, and we decided that he wanted to get on board now with the Danish team also to develop with the Danish younger riders. Not private, but my racing, Nicki Pedersen Racing, he also sponsored me in that one, you know, and we have a lot of his customers that comes to Grimsted Speedway. So it is kind of a business
that you've
we already have mixed
yeah.
up already. So whether or not we're gonna make business in the future, you know, together, I could easily see things like that, you know, because Pau respects people, but not that many, you know, because he's an extremely nice guy, and he wants to make success, and he wants to. I've seen many business people like him, you know, and if you need to have success, you need to be a tough cookie.
Of course. So you're undoubtedly one of the most determined racers that I've witnessed in my 50 years of following the sport. Canal Plus certainly got the title of their series, The Last Gladiator, absolutely right. Personally, I hope we see you back on track next year, entertaining the public for quite a while yet, and I'd like to thank you so much for speaking with me today, and additionally to wish you all the best on track for the rest of this year, and as well as that, good health off track as you complete the 2024 season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for speaking to me.
Yeah, you too.